Hi, Lydia.
Jackie, how are you? Oh my gosh, swear, like my glasses. I will clean my glasses, and I shouldn't clean them with my sweater. I'll clean my
Oh,
glasses.
oh my God, I do the same thing. I'm like clean them with this dress earlier. I mean,
Yeah,
if I'm
and
being
then
honest,
I'll like look at them like in the camera, like, oh, they're so dirty.
they're like
It's
smudged.
probably just scratches, but
Well, you know,
so who are we talking about today?
there is a lot going on. So I figured we'd start with Chapel Roan and celebrity endorsements and then go from there.
You want to talk about more than just Chapel Roan?
We'll see where it leads. There might not be time for anything else. So
So Chapel Roan is a lot. Oh my God, I love her so much. Just so I first heard her. Um, she would come on after the Tortured Poets Department would end. So like as soon as the Tortured Poets Department dropped and I listened to Tortured Poets Department, Chapel Roan would come on. And I'm just like, this is really good music. Who is this person? And probably some indie person I've never heard of. And they're probably like, several years old. And I'm like listening. And Good Luck Babe was the first one that would come on and be like, wow, I really like how it kind of slows down at the end. And why is she wearing a pig nose? Um, and then, I would just do other things, going about my day. And then I'm just like, did she say hot like Papa John? What's a feminine nomenon? And then I'm just like, I think this is a little bit gay. And
just
then I was like, Pink Pony Club. And then I like, who the hell is Chapel Roan? And then I loved her.
Yeah, I was also part of the Taylor Swift to Chapel Roan pipeline or Tortured Poets department in particular,
And
where
I feel like that was like right after Torture Poets Department dropped. Chapel Roan blew up. And I'm not saying that like she owes something to Taylor Swift because clearly that's a phenomenal album, but it was just like, and it's not like Spotify, like, and obviously not like Industry Planet or anything. It's just that that was just next what's up, and it was gaining traction. And then, if it had been bad, I would have not listened to it, but it was good. And I was like, this is really good. And then I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. And then I watched the Tiny Desk concert.
oh,
Oh my God. Blew my mind. You haven't seen the
watch that
Tiny Desk?
yet.
Oh
No,
my God.
I know.
Watch NPR's Chapel Roan's Tiny Desk concert. Blow your mind. And then from there, I was just like, who's Chapel Roan? And then I watched an interview she did with Elton John, and Elton John's basically blessing her as the next Elton John. And it's incredible. And then I like started to get more into all of it. And I was like, Pink Pony Club's been out for a long time. And then
Yeah,
I like listened to Pink Pony Club and I was just like, this is like euphoric. It's so joyful. And then, oh my God, I can't tell you how much I laughed at You Like Magic? I've got a wand and a rabbit. And I was like, how many gay men out there had to figure, do you know what a wand and a rabbit
oh
are?
yeah,
Okay, you
absolutely.
do. Okay.
Yeah.
What is a wand and a rabbit, Jackie?
Well, we got you can go in more detail as you wish, but it's a vibrator and then a rabbit, it has like two
Yeah,
different parts to stimulate.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've had both. I didn't really like the rabbit.
Mm.
Although the Itachi Magic Wand is a phenomenal piece of engineering. It was
Believe
one
it.
of the
It's like
greatest things that's ever existed, ever. Did you know that of people who have clits,
thank you.
not gonna say women, but people who have clits, if they do not have an orgasm and they try one, 90% of people who have not yet had an orgasm will have an orgasm from a Hitachi.
I love that.
You got a wand and a rabbit.
I think that needs to be a standard wedding gift if it's not already.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm especially thinking of like, I can't imagine that being a wedding gift at a Mormon wedding, but it probably
No.
is sometimes, and it should
Well,
be,
it's masturbation, so
but it should be. Oh my
I
God.
know, I know. whatever.
Female sexuality, etc.
Chapell is something else. Um, so I actually knew she was against Biden a while ago. So like
Oh,
when she's dressed up for when she dressed up with the Statue of Liberty, about the time she did that concert, Biden had actually invited her to the White House and she said no. But this is before she was as big as she is now. I mean, every day it's like an extremely high trajectory, right? And so
yeah.
she's like, no, I don't support the I don't support the Israeli-Pakistani war, so I'm not going to go to the White House. That
Palestinian
was a
war.
while ago. She probably didn't think anything of it. But so it's funny because my son came over last weekend and he's just like, because he's been a little bit like, oh, Taylor Swift, mom, oh, okay. So he comes over and goes, Mom, Taylor's my girl. And I'm like, what? Oh, and fuck Chapel Roan. I'm like, he's like, yeah, why isn't she endorsing Pamela? What did I say, Pamela?
Pamela Anderson. No.
Kamala. Why isn't she endorsing Kamala? And I tried to give some context, but Karen's just like, no, fuck that. And, I think that something probably, do I understand her position? Yes. It's a very, like, kind of white bitch position, though. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
I get it, but also, like, you're going to be fine if Trump is elected.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to be fine. That it's not your fault that we have a two-party system, and it's also not all the marginalized people who are going to suffer under Trump's fault. It's not Kamala's fault either that we have a two-party system. And honestly, if a Democrat ran as it, all cops are bastards, and as a complete and total dove, they would actually never get far enough to do anything. All of that can be true.
So, I mean, that brings up a lot because I think that they could run as a dove and win because Trump's a dove.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Republicans can run as doves.
Why?
A Democrat can't run as a dove because they have to, like most of the
Oh,
time, like, did you know most like welfare expansions have been done under Republicans? And like think about Obamacare. Trump, Republicans been trying to pass that for a long time. It took a Democrat to do that. Like, we don't trust you unless you're like struggling with your core convictions to get something passed in this country.
hmm.
Like, we trust Obama to make war decisions. I don't trust a Republican with war.
I mean, maybe we shouldn't trust though Obama inherently with war decisions. That was something
I'm just
I
saying that's just how we operate. We
no,
don't
I
like
agree.
giving universal power to do what you want to do. If you're reluctant to do it and it's hoisted upon you, then okay, fine.
Okay, fine. I have to do this.
Honestly, like no wait, not Habitat for Humanity. A lot food stamps were expanded under I want to say Ford,
Okay.
and Reagan got he had the assault weapon ban.
Yeah. Well, and welfare actually reform shrink happened under Clinton. So Democrats are expected to.
Yeah. So in order to get to that point, you have to tack to the middle. Well, at least as I don't know if Trump's doing it now too. He's tacking to the middle. He's just like, yeah, you know what? I didn't mean all abortion. So
Well, did you see? So that's what Kamala is getting a lot of criticism from the left now is the desire to appeal to the center. And I think some of it is warranted. Like it's kind of fucking weird that she's out like parading Dick Cheney as an endorsement that she's proud of. Oh yeah, Liz and Dick Cheney now are supporting my presidential bid. It's like
but I get it.
I
I get it. You know, like Trump is bad, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the Cheneys are like, Trump is bad. So, like, yeah, I mean, the Bushes are endorsing Kamala as well.
Yeah, no, context is important. It's like
Yeah. But
there's
maybe it's okay. I don't know. Like, okay, so Chapel Roan is having a hard time and extremely depressed, uh, really struggling with fame. This is a lot. And I feel like she's going to run away. She's going to end up Amy Winehouse, or she's going to figure it out. But she's not yet there. And I'm sad about it because I want another album. But honestly, she doesn't need to give that to me. But I'm just like, can we just protect her? But when you listen to what she's saying, it's like she's not pro-Trump. She's not trying to both sides this issue, but it still sounds like she's both sidesing.
well,
You
she
know,
ended up endorsing Kamala
she didn't
eventually.
endorse her. She said she's voting for her,
Okay.
which is different.
It is different.
Yeah, she's
But I,
gonna
and I think
plug her nose and vote for Kamala, as in a lot of people are. So
yeah, I think part of it though is just it again, context is important. Right before that, she took a lot of flack slash support for basically saying to fans, like, you don't know me. Like, you can't just demand a picture from me when I'm out on the street. That's
I
not,
love that.
I
I
actually
was
love
all
that
for
too.
that. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
And
I
so,
saw it on TikTok where someone was like, how to act around Chapel Roan, act super gay and that you don't see her.
yeah, I saw that.
So cute. I was like, yeah, there's Chapel Roan. Don't look at her.
Come out in drag, you'll be sad. So
I don't like I haven't thought about like, well, what if I see her then? What am I gonna do? Oh, she's talking to you, Lydia, and you just have to accept it. Like she doesn't owe me anything.
well,
So
there's like context, right? If she's at a concert and decides to after sign some autographs or things, that's one thing. But like being having your personal life always assaulted, like is not okay. And I think that that's the same thing with the political endorsement in a way. It's like I don't have to speak up about everything. But I think it is, I don't know, like we could go to Taylor Swift, and if that's important that she endorsed Trump too, we can kind of tack that way. And that one I think matters more in a way. I don't know what you would
yeah,
say.
can you imagine the Chapel Roan fan who was like, oh, well, I was gonna vote for Trump, but
No,
now I'm not. Like it's
not at
not,
all.
she doesn't matter that much. I mean, Chapel Roan matters. Oh my God, protect her. But I'm sorry, in this context, she doesn't. But there's this idea of like, how dare you? And it's something that's always kind of bothered me. So, I talk about like how can we push the narrative forward instead of like, okay, so what you can do in this case is, just like when you're talking to Republicans, you just be like, oh, well, you Democrats are always one. I'm like, we don't agree with each other. Look at Chapel Roan.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you could be like, yeah, you think we don't have integrity? What would you say about Chapel Roan? Oh, no, you guys never criticize Kamala. Yes, we do. Have you heard of Chapel Roan? So you can like use this,
Hmm.
you don't have to be like, how dare you? Just like the fact that we don't all fall in line. You can use that to say we're more sincere. You can say that to say we can address our own problems. We're not a monolith. You can always take these things. You can even say, hey, where is your Chapel Roan on your side? Dick Cheney? Okay, but the thing is, Chapel Roan's not voting for Trump,
Yeah.
So you can't, you know, uh you can always like if your side has shown some sort of weakness or vulnerability, like Chapel Roan has done, we
Yeah.
are vulnerable on the issues she's talked about. We are, okay? Then you can turn around and use that to say, see, we're humble. See, we have discussions. We're not one mind. We're not of groupthink. You can always turn it around to just we're still the writer side. There's no mistake about that. So just say, okay, well, you know what? I can admit I'm wrong sometimes.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
I don't understand. Okay, so I would say if Chapel Roan was right in front of me, I'd be like, hey, maybe we need to get some media training. You are a person who's very hyper aware. You're very insightful. Oh my God, arms out like an angel. I mean, how beautiful is that line? Like there's something you get about the human condition and you're so talented. But that also means that you're going to feel things, you're going to be depressed. So you know what? Maybe you get a publicist. That's okay. It's okay to get a publicist. It's okay to have help. No one, fame is hard. It's okay that there are people who are professionals to help you. That's okay.
Yeah,
Let
like
them do that. And
babe,
that,
a lot to like handle. You need to.
yeah, so get a therapist, get a publicist, get a bodyguard. Let's do it. I mean, I feel like that hopefully someone in her life is telling her that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but you know, just because, and I've heard some other people say this about Chapel Roan, whatever you say, your intentions, they're important. I'm not saying your intentions are important, but how people hear what you say is also something you need to consider. So
Oh yeah.
when you speak, okay, so communication isn't, it's not a song. I mean, she's what her
Yeah.
saying is going to be received, and there's going to be a dialogue back, and she has to be ready for that. She has to think 2 or 3 steps down the line. Like, if I say this, what are you going to say back to me? And I don't know if she's quite there yet. I
How
don't
would
know.
she like she's been working this is like going to the accusations that she's like an industry plant. She's been
Yeah,
around for years. She's
no,
been working for years hard to be where she's at. And yeah, she's had a meteoric rise and everything. But with that comes like not really having the skills to know how to deal with it. This is very understandable. Like, or not having the experience, rather. I'm not saying she doesn't have any skills, but she hasn't been in this situation before and has to learn a lot of new things about how to manage it. And that's
yeah.
difficult.
And if she gets through it, she's going to be fine. But it's like it's. I feel like she's having a conversation with herself. Do I really want this? And if she doesn't want it, that's fine.
I
It's
think
fine.
that's
She
a good
doesn't owe
conversation.
us anything.
Yeah.
Um, but I hope she figures it out. I hope she's happy. I just hope she ends up happy because I can tell she's not at all happy right now.
How fucked up is that though? To have like finally like so much success in your music career and then you're like, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading the Britney book, and she said there are some people who are just really good at being famous. I wasn't one of those people. And it's like it's weird to hear one of the most famous women in the world ever say that. And it's like, okay, and I think, okay, Taylor Swift is good at being famous, but she hasn't always been.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
not
as
what
far as like the picture of canceled, the two people that come to mind when they think of being canceled are James Charles and Taylor Swift. They're the ones who've been canceled the hardest out of everyone
oh
everywhere,
man,
right?
it's both of them.
So, like she hasn't always been that. She doesn't quite, she hasn't, I think she's a little bit better at it now, but she doesn't quite understand that she just thinks of herself as herself, but then others see her as a white woman and how that's kind of played out a little bit, like, and how she's just like, hey, this person is basically saying these horrible things about me, but then it's going to look at how it's going to look. And she didn't really consider that. Um, so I don't know if Chaperone is thinking, how am I going to sound when I say there's problems on both sides as a white woman who's going to be okay under Trump? I don't think she's like there. And it takes a little bit, especially when you've been marginalized your whole life. Like as a woman, as a lesbian, she's been marginalized and now she's not, right? And so she doesn't necessarily know how to act that way. And you know, you saw that with Taylor Swift, you saw that with Lizzo. So
Oh, love
you
that.
know, you get privilege and you're like, I don't know what to do with it now. So um I just hope someone helps her. I don't know. I'd do it. I'll be your publicist, Chapel.
There you go. There you go.
um she hasn't said anything wrong though. There are problems on both sides. It's just it's the message isn't being received. And I mean, if you want to look at it that way too, like she made a good point about you don't have to vote for the one necessarily that you can say, okay, Democrats, earn my vote. You can
Yeah.
do that. It's okay. At the end of the day, you do have to make a decision, but we are a little bit held captive. And so I actually am okay with her saying this. I just feel for her. I would have been like, if Taylor Swift would have said that, I would have been like, okay, like you got to consider, like, it's not, there's nothing bad's going to show me the person who has changed their vote because Chapel on both sides the issue, you know? And honestly, she probably felt pressured to do it because of Taylor Swift's
I
endorsement.
was just thinking
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But have we heard Sabrina Carpenter's? I'm sure, actually, I bet you anything she's gonna have no problem with Kamala Harris. I can't imagine.
I haven't
Um,
heard anyone talk about her endorsing Kamala
no.
Harris though.
But I
Like,
mean, like Charlie XCX is not even American, and she goes, Kamala is brat. Like,
yeah.
okay. So,
I love how Charlie XCX is like deliberately antagonistic to like white gay twinks on Twitter. She
I have no idea
actively
what you're
fights
talking
her
about.
fans. Yeah, like
They're liberally antagonistic to white twins.
yeah, like she, like her twink fans, she'll just like antagonize them. Like
Oh my
on
God.
yeah, I'll
I
have to
know
like
almost nothing about her,
no,
but I
that's okay.
love Apple. I love that song. So I don't like it's not even my type of music
I
at
love
all.
it, but the way that she says airport to make it sound like Apple drives me nuts. Like
Oh my God, I love that song. I'm just like, why don't we sing about the airport a second time? Why is it just in the first half of the song? And then she doesn't go to the airport. She just drives the whole night. And I don't know, that song, oh my God, every time it comes on, I'm like, how is this song so good? It sounds like it should be bad, right? Doesn't
right.
it sound like it's going to be a terrible song?
Correct. Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
like,
I'm with you.
oh, this is a dumb, oh my God, no, look at, yeah. It's just like, and then it's just like, wait, this is really self-reflective. Is she calling out her mother? And seeing her place as a future mother herself? Oh my God.
Oh my God. She's so
Wow, this
deep.
is really deep. And then she doesn't go to the airport. Okay. The song is amazing. It's so good. I
I
wish
had
I
no
could
idea you were such
understand
a
how
fan.
good, why it's as good as it is. So I just don't.
I would go see Charlie XCX. Absolutely.
Well, the only other song I ever knew about her was that Crash Into a Bridge song. That's the
Okay.
only ever song I've ever known. You know what I'm talking about?
I
I
can't
drove
remember.
my bridge into the da 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 da. I drove my car into a bridge. I don't
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
care. I love it. I don't care. She's not even in that video, but she just was singing on that song.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
that's the only other song I've ever known from. I mean, I've heard of her.
I
I
heard.
watched her when I watched. She toured with Taylor Swift. So when I got it became a Swiftie, I watched the Reputation tour, and she was there
Oh,
with on the Reputation tour. So I saw her there. She looked weird. She's wearing this really weird outfit, but so
but, you know.
that's it. That's the only thing I ever knew about her. But I'm just like, Apple, yeah, Brat. Okay.
Yeah,
I
well,
listened to Brat, and I don't, and I get it, but Apple's it.
Apple stood out to you. Nice.
So, yeah.
So why do celebrity endorsements matter? Specifically Taylor Swift. But why does it matter if a celebrity, and when does it matter, I guess, if a celebrity endorses a presidential candidate?
I don't.
Because like I
Well,
think of like
I think you
Trump's
can talk about a celebrity and then you can talk about Taylor Swift, and those are
right,
very, very different things.
correct.
Um, I think that Taylor Swift saying that, she said it both times, vote for your own interests is very powerful.
Yeah,
So if people voted for their own interests, Republicans wouldn't win.
right.
Republicans, so when you get into the philosophy of it, Republicans are not, so not a Republican, a conservative is not going to have politics that are going to serve most people. They're going to serve the top. That's just what they do. And
Yeah.
so conservatives have got to somehow make that seem like it's good for you too, or at least you should do it. So like in monarchies, they say support the king because you're British. That's
So they're
part of
almost
your identity,
yeah.
right? And so, and then the trickle down economics is kind of the trick that the hegemony uses in this country, even though it doesn't show itself to be true. But then they also do gratitude. You should be grateful to the rich. You should be grateful to the job creators. Shame if you're poor. So they do a lot of stuff to kind of make it seem like religion wants you to vote conservative. They are a lot. They do that a lot. And so it's actually kind of radical to say, don't vote for the interests of the rich guy, vote for yourself. Okay, so that if you actually it pisses them off. Like I've even had conservatives say, like, who do you think you are? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, well, why? Who? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm an American voter. Well, they do that. So, voting for your own self-interest is actually kind of radical. Or you can take it a step further and vote for on behalf of the marginalized. Like, if you're not going to be affected by the vote, then vote for the most marginalized person you think of. Who's
Yeah.
going to expand who's going to give a better life to the poor, the marginalized, the weak, the infirm, the unemployed. Um,
Yeah. I think that conservatives are, as you've said before, interested in preserving hierarchies, and
right.
that's very important to the philosophy. And what you're describing is like they're making this moral appeal, like to why you need to be faithful and loyal to the system because look what it's
Gratitude.
given you, and
Yeah.
look what, and we can't take down Confederate statues because that's the history of our country, and
Right.
like all of these things that go back to this whole argument. And I think it does relate back to the
How did
French
that serve
Revolution.
you?
Say
It is
what?
okay to want politics to serve you. So when Taylor Swift says these politics don't serve me, you know, that's a lot. So now they got to move away from that. They're just like, well, she's rich. What does she know about inflation? Right? That's the thing. But like it's a stupid argument. And they know it's stupid. So don't ever buy into this idea that they don't get it and that you can explain it to them. You can't, they understand. They know damn well that if Trump was president, they had inflation. That's just what they say to justify what they want to do anyway.
I mean,
No one
honestly,
actually thinks that Biden caused inflation. That's
yeah,
stupid. They're not stupid. They're not as stupid as they sound.
yeah.
They're not.
No, I mean, and I don't disagree with the pandemic assistance that happened or anything, but technically speaking, Trump caused inflation.
Mm, it would have happened no matter what.
Okay.
Think about it. We all stopped working.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we started working again. It was going to happen. It's going to happen anyway. And we were set for we had an inverted yield curve before the pandemic even hit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, certainly this kind of wiped that all out and made it like not that big of a deal, but we were set for that anyway. And Trump lowered interest rates way low. He pressured the Fed to lower interest rates, which is going to cause inflation no matter what. That's what
Yeah.
happens. You lower interest rates, you get inflation. He actually was
Right.
talking, if you go back, he was talking about having negative interest rates.
Wow.
So that's insane. Okay. Quantitative easing is definitely a cause for inflation. Trump, that was his policy. No matter what was going to happen, there we were going, even if we didn't have the pandemic, we were going to have inflation at this time.
Yeah.
So he definitely didn't help stop it. Um, But here's another wild thing about inflation. You ready?
I'm
Okay.
ready.
So, do you think, I mean, if you are a person who thinks the national debt is bad, why is it bad?
Because I'm trying to think of the arguments for this. They'd say, well, it's going to cause inflation.
No, national debt doesn't cause inflation. Okay, so
No, I
because you
know.
owe money and you have to pay it back, right?
Right, right,
So it becomes a burden because you have to pay the servicing fees on it, right? But
right.
but you want to have about, I think it's, I don't know, if you want about 20 to 30%. That means you're taking about 20 to 30% in an investment for the future. So when a government goes in debt, they're invested in the future. Make sense?
Yeah,
Sometimes that's not in, sometimes we're not going into debt for roads and bridges. Sometimes it's because something bad happened, like a war or something like that, right? Or government bloat and all this other stuff, right? But when you spend government money, you're at least investing in the economy in some way. Even if it's not the best way to spend the money, someone got that money and that went into the economy, okay?
correct.
So there's some economists that say all government spending is good, even if it's wasteful. I don't know if that's true, but there are some arguments for that. Okay, so the problem is when it becomes a large percentage of the GDP, or how much, or basically how much money is in the economy. So how do you get more money in the economy? Inflation will actually lower the percentage of debt.
Ah,
When we get inflation, our national debt percentage goes
right.
down. Economics are so interesting. When anything goes up, there's an inverted thing that happens. It just does. And people who don't understand that, I think most Republicans do, honestly. Like if you were to just actually stick them with like truth serum or stick them to a lie detector and said, would you do you is inflation your number one issue? And they whatever they said, they were like, okay, if Trump was president and there was still inflation, what would you say? If they had to be truthful, they wouldn't be like, well, I would never vote for him. That is it's sublimation. There's nobody, show me somebody who's voting on inflation as their number one issue. They want the white guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay. It doesn't matter. Inflation doesn't matter to them. That's just the thing they say to try to make themselves appeal to the common person. Okay.
Right.
And it's just all a game. It's all a game. But inflation is going to reduce our national debt,
Yeah, no,
percentage wise.
that's true. Yeah. It's
So
just
it's
math.
fine. Okay, it's fine. And they're going to lower interest rates. Okay, so interest rates have been really high for a while. So not only do we have inflation, but also interest rates are high. That's hard. Okay, but
Yeah,
interest rates rise, people stop borrowing money, house values go down. Okay, so stuff's going to go down, but we had to adjust. Like we had to we have a new normal. It was going to happen after the pandemic no matter what. Okay, so now that things are getting normal, inflation is going down, they're going to lower interest rates again, which means inflation is going to go back up. But it also means you want to buy a house, buy it now.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, you're like, but interest rates are high. Yeah. And that's why, so interest rates are high. Oh my gosh. You're going to buy a house now, then refinance. When interest rates go down, prices go up, and then you can get a lower loan. The rich know this, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
The rich get this. Whatever they're saying on Fox News is just whatever the pandering they're doing to get the normies to vote for them. But it's not. They're just getting the normies to vote for. They want to vote for, like, again, every last person who's saying but inflation would vote for Trump if you just give them another excuse.
Yeah, it's true. It's like it's more about like a team, right? Like a sports team. It's like my side is doing this. It's fine. Oh, the other side, ref, look at what they're doing. It's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. It's just all about power for them. It's not about principle. It's not about principle.
Yeah.
No, I mean, have you heard of anyone being like, oh, well, Trump's kind of sounding pro-choice now. I don't know about that. Have you heard anyone do that?
I have not.
They don't care. They don't care. It's not about the babies. It's not about the money. It's about white guys in charge. It just
Yeah,
is.
I love too how it's like, well, he's just God's with him. It's like this is the person.
With him. He's
No.
evil. Trump is evil.
Yeah.
When they say God is with them, they just mean God likes white people. That's all they mean. That's it. There's this religious idea that the existing power structures are blessed by God. So God wants white people in charge. God wants men in charge. Don't mess with it. That's it.
That
It's
sounds
not
like the
true. It's literally blasphemy according to the Beatitudes to believe that. They do it anyway.
why is
So
it literally blasphemy?
the meek shall inherit the
Oh,
earth,
the
last shall
mutual
be first,
inheritance.
first shall be last.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
literally against the New Testament.
yeah. Yeah, and not just the New Testament, like what Jesus said
Yeah,
and
no,
like
it's wrong. Jesus is woke.
Jesus so woke. Yeah, I love woke Jesus.
He's the only Jesus that exists.
Who's just Jesus, but
He's just Jesus. Yeah. Yeah.
hey, look, I
No,
should get a shirt that says "I love Jesus."
what?
I should get a shirt that says "I love Jesus,"
Jesus is
the
great.
woke liberal.
Yeah. Jesus is great. Um, yeah, I'm sure that there are some people who truly hold abortion to be their number one issue because I knew them and I felt like that was really important to me. Like I remember thinking, if it wasn't for abortion, I'd be a Democrat. I remember thinking that.
Really?
So I'm sure there's other people who think
Sure,
that.
I thought that at some point.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, so I'm sure that's real, but there is a difference between a Republican and a conservative. They're not necessarily the same thing. Um, so, but most of them are just saying abortion because they need some way to justify voting for our side.
Yeah, well, they need a reason to vote against their own interests, right?
Yes.
Because like if you were voting on your interests, you'd vote for Kamala Harris because giving tax credits, giving more attention policy-wise to the middle class, all of these things that people want, and actually in polls they support and are for, but they're like because of issues and because of propaganda and advertising, they're convinced not to vote for the interest that there's some reason, oh my God, I can't vote for a Democrat. I could never do that because they're for killing babies or whatever the soundbite is that
Yep.
that gets across.
Yeah. But if you want to live in a just world, you cannot have half the population not decide when they're going to be a parent. We can't do it. It's completely unjust. So, and we have Roe v. Wade. Do you know it only gave the right to an abortion up to the second trimester?
I did know that.
Did not do the third trimester. That is not true. It just wasn't. It was never true. It's all propaganda. I don't even know why Democrats don't talk about that. So, I mean, the Supreme Court said we got to draw a line somewhere. This made sense. So
Yeah,
there was like they were disparate concepts, but there was three converging at the second trimester. So that's where they made the decision.
got it.
I think the point of viability at that time was around that time. And there were two other things going on at that time. I think there was a study that said, I don't know, but if you look into it, there were two or three things that said the second trimester, that made sense. And so they said the third trimester is going to be a state by state issue.
Yeah, okay.
So you had a right to an abortion up till the second trimester.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope Democrats pass legislation that codifies Roe v. Wade because that's very much needed. Like Trump will argue it's just leave it to the states, but that means that like somebody can bleed out and die on their way to get a
Yeah, and they're
you know
criminalizing you're like if you can't leave the state to get an abortion, like that's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. They're talking about science their mouth. They
that's
are.
actually completely unconstitutional to the court.
Well, they're just throwing everything at the wall though. So even if
Yeah,
it's not like constitutional, they're going to do it anyway
of
because
course.
something's going to get to the Supreme Court, and it
And
did.
they hand shop for judges to like take a
Yeah.
case and
So that's how they do it. They just throw shit and something's going to get through. That's what they did.
yeah.
So,
That's the thing. Republicans will accuse the left of judicial activism, but if
no,
you
they're so judicial
nothing
activists.
else,
Yeah.
all of that's happened with the Supreme Court recently is judicial activism. It's
What
not
they mean is something
legislation.
else. They're okay with themselves doing judicial activism because they're right in the first place. When they're talking about someone else doing judicial activism, so always remember, for a conservative, the system is supposed to work for them. When someone else is doing judicial activism, that means the system is working against them. That's all they mean. That's all they ever mean. That's it. Okay? So the system is not working for me. That's bad. That's wrong. It's okay if this doesn't work for me. Then, oh, we're Republicans. We don't believe in democracy until someone else is like, okay, but the procedure and the bureaucrats say this. They're just like, well, what about democracy? Like they just flip all the time. It's just all there's never their issue is never their issue. What they say is their value is never their value. It's always power, always.
So why do they lash out at the marginalized, like trans people or gay people, or like what is that about
They don't
for?
know their place. I mean, if you want to go to just deep root of it, they don't know their place. They don't want, well, first of all, they don't want to be a minority. So that's why they're against immigration. Um, so as far as like, I mean, we talked about this a lot, gender panic. It's all about, I've, I've conformed to the system. Why aren't you? You're cutting out of line. Why do you get empathy from the system? I'm the one who followed the system. Why is the system giving you extra whatever? So that's, and, gay marriage was like, well, we should have more privileges than you. Why
Why
do
do
you?
gay people get special rights? Like,
Yeah, they just mean equal rights.
yeah.
Yeah.
What I thought
That's what
of,
it means. That's always what it means. So it's always insecurity about they're used to having the system work for them. And the trade-off of the system working for them is they, the system works for me, so I'm not punk rock. I'm normal. I can't say I'm cool, right? There's a cool factor, there's a punk factor for being not of the system, right? And
yeah.
they're just like, wait, you can be cool and get the system? That's not fair. Wait, can I say the N word too? That's what that's about. Like, if I'm gonna, okay, if I get, am I privileged? Well, I get that I'm not cool, but you get privilege and you're cool? Mm-mm, that's not
Mm,
okay. So you
can't happen.
can't get both.
I
So that's
think part of it too is that, like, because they see the importance of hierarchies as like some kind of like God created thing, they see themselves as, well, if for example, if there's more immigration, then I will be in the position that I look at the immigrants now in, which is I look at them as less, and then I would be less. So there's this like fear of becoming the oppressed, that they're
yeah.
and a victim of the oppression that they're doing. And this is going to sound really weird, but like I thought about this in terms of science fiction, right? In science fiction studies, there's this writer that talks about reverse colonization fantasy, which is just a fancy way to say, in a lot of Anglo science fiction, the real fear is that the aliens will conquer us, because in the past, the British Empire and America has conquered and devastated civilizations, right? And so it's that fear of being the oppressed because you're oppressing that leads to, I think, some of this.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's really weird. I think we've talked about this before. And I can't, you kind of blew my mind on it, and I can't quite remember what it was about. But how like um Christianity was the religion of the oppressed, and now it's the oppressing religion. And
Yeah.
it's like, wait, we get to oppress now? That's what Jesus wanted. No, it's not. So
Yeah, like it's so hard to see the coherence of what Jesus taught and what like American Christianity is. They're just so far apart from each other. I really don't see how they can claim to be
they
Christian.
just really don't like the idea that if you're not contributing to society, that you get benefits from society.
But
That's
like,
it.
where in the Bible
It
justifies
doesn't. It doesn't.
Jesus literally
It's
tore
against
down the
poor. Yeah.
establishment. Like he was
No.
preaching against the political establishment of the time.
Yeah. No, it's literally against the Bible too. Yeah, it's just weird. So
Yeah. But Trump is selling Trump Bibles, so help pay his
so
legal fees.
gross. It's so gross. It's
It's so gross.
so gross.
I
Yeah.
think it has like the a forward from the guy that said like God bless the USA or something like that in the Bible. Ugh, it's
Yeah.
just disgusting.
Well, okay. So to sum up,
Yeah.
um, I think it is powerful that when they say go vote, I think it's powerful to say your voice matters. I think it's powerful to say, vote for your own interests, vote for what you believe is right. Don't vote for what someone else believes is what is right. I'm for that. I think that um there is value in calling out the two-party system. That
Yeah.
being said, a white wealthy woman is going to have a hard sell with that. And maybe Chapel Row needs some publicist.
Well, again, it's about context, babe.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. And I think you're right. The Taylor Swift's like way of going about it is empowering, and that's why it's effective.
Perhaps, yeah. I also kind of do think that Taylor was pushed into it from the
Ouch.
Brittany Mahomes thing.
Yeah.
I bet she didn't like that she had to do that, but there are definitely two Taylor Swifts, the one we see and probably what actually is going on. Like, I am sure she is very good at pretending that she likes you. Of course she likes Brittany Mahomes. Do you think that you know for sure if she actually does or not?
Yeah.
No. From all accounts I've heard is Taylor Swift makes you feel like when you're in the room with her, she makes you feel like she really gives a damn about you. She is really good at that.
I heard that other celebrities do the same thing, that's
Yeah,
like,
they make you feel they're just so gregarious. And so I imagine it's probably, I mean, I'm sure like I want to be Taylor Swift's friend because she's Taylor Swift, but I imagine just like after you get to know her, you want to be your friend because she makes you feel great about yourself. That's what I've heard. She's very engaging and makes you feel she just lights up the room, apparently. So
yeah.
and apparently it's kind of a problem because like that's why it's hard to get like a really like when people interview her, they're hardly ever hard on her because she's just so
She's
like
so
no one wants
charming.
to be mean to her. So
Aw.
um but yeah, everyone she meets, she charms. So I don't know. I mean, she's very good at the soft people skills. So
Yeah.
obviously when you listen to her lyrics, you can tell that. But I mean, like I found Torture Poets Department to be very empowering. Like, how do I put this? Like sometimes the vulnerable shit she says, the angry shit she says is like, yeah, I felt that before. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I should have been.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
kind of feel that way, just like, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It kind of
The
um
song with like But Daddy I Love Him, where she's like telling them she's pregnant just to mess with them. I'm like, wow, that's kind of fucked up, but oh
oh my God, you should see your faces.
my God,
I
she's
I didn't like that song at first, and then I was just like, I really like that song. It's not like my favorite song, but it's just kind of like that's really fucking funny. So,
it is.
oh my God. Speaking of funny, you've listened to Brita Carpenter's album, right?
Of course.
It's so funny. Oh my God.
I hope you
It's so
taste
funny.
him when he's taste me when he's kissing you. Is that the
Oh my
line?
God. I was there first.
Yeah.
What a bitch. And she's so condescending to men. Like I feel like it's almost like this act where she's just like, I'm gonna be like a womanizer, but as a woman. This is how it feels. Like she's definitely straight, but no man is. She doesn't know desperation.
Mhm.
No, you can't relate to desperation. So she's just like, yeah, well, if you behave and
I
don't make me feel stupid, don't act stupid, then we can get along. So
There you go.
yeah,
And on that
the
line,
ceiling fan is so nice.
I don't know though. I feel like in that song, like there is a little bit more vulnerability because it's like my friends know that what I'm saying is bullshit, like, and they call me out on it because you
Yeah.
are bad. But I mean, it is empowering at the same time. Absolutely.
Heartbreak is one thing, my ego is another. Don't embarrass me, motherfucker. I'm just like,
Yeah.
when I heard that line, I was like,
If you want to go and be stupid, don't do it in front of me.
don't do it in front of me. I know 1 second now the embarrassment. Like, oh my God, I fucked it. Okay.
All right. And on that line of Sabrina Carpenter, I think that that's been good. So thank you,
Oh my
Lydia.
God, you want to see another crazy bitch?
Oh yeah, I absolutely do.
What are you doing? What do you
Hi.
have my makeup sponge for? Oh my God. All right, I gotta go. Did you hear that?